What is the most unethical, but legal, way to get rich quick? There's a lot of grandiose plans on here, but I've got one that you can start with just a few $1,000s. Go to your state's treasury website. There you can see properties that are overdue on property tax. In most states, if you pay that overdue property tax, the owner of the property typically has a time limit to pay you back your money, or forfeit the property. What this means is, worst case, you get your money back plus interest. But more than likely, if you're able to target someone going through bankruptcy, they'll end up having to forfeit their property to you. Then you can sell it once a new deed or title is issued by the state, typically for significantly more than the back taxes you paid for it. There are some issues. If it's someone's primary residence, you'll pretty much have to hire a lawyer to fight them on squatters' rights. If it's a car, good luck ever finding it. They'll just drive away and be in trouble next time they get pulled over. Secondary properties are ideal, but those don't come along super often, as people who can afford multiple properties usually know enough to pay their taxes. Anyways, you can start with cars for a few $100s. Houses and other properties cost a few thousand. If you don't mind being a scumbag kicking people out of their homes when they're at one of the lowest points in their life, it can be quite lucrative. I knew a guy who was a witch doctor. He charged $25,000 to cast a spell to bring an ex-lover back to you. It never worked, but there was nothing that could really be done for you, as he had all these forms stating that he made no guarantees since the spirit world did what it did. He was very popular too, which I could never understand. I told my wife I'm going to stop practicing law and become a witch doctor, as the hours and pay are much better. She vetoed that idea. What is a minor life hack you love to share? When microwaving bread, fries, etc., make sure to put a microwavable cup or coffee mug half full of water in the microwave with the food as well. Everything will come out nice and crispy as opposed to soggy and gross. Give a crying kid water. Most of the time they start crying for a reason but continue crying because they can't snap out of it. Drinking the water forces them to take a breath, and the sensation of the water gets them to think about something else briefly enough to settle them. Teaching someone what you have just learned, you will retain the information 90% better than any other method. If you can't open a jar or container, run the lid under hot water for 30 seconds, then open it after it is dried enough for you to get a good grip on it. This has never failed to work for me. If you have a problem with wasps, this is the perfect time of year to make a fake nest. Crumble up a brown paper bag into a round shape and put in your window or on your balcony. Wasps are stupid as hell, but they are territorial and will think it's another wasp's nest, and they will tell their friends to avoid the area. In a loud setting, for example a concert, the best way to clearly hear someone you're talking to is to push in the flappy fold thing on your ear and have them speak to you in a normal volume. You should be able to hear what they're saying very clearly over the muffled background noise. It's like magic.
What is the worst thing you have done because you got confused between items in different hands? Friend of mine once put the remote control in the oven and then wondered why he found himself in the living room holding a sausage. Remote control was destroyed, and it had previously spent several days in the back of a freezer because of a similar incident. Licked the lid of my yogurt, then threw the full yogurt pot in the bin with the spoon inside. Stuck a dog treat in my mouth, and gave my dog my popsicle. She was thrilled. When I was 10, I was watching TV and had the remote in one hand, and a cup of hot tea in the other. My dad came in and asked for the remote. Instead of tossing him the remote, I threw my cup of tea and it went all over him. The next morning his chest and legs were red. Tried to put an M&M in my ear and my Galaxy Bud in my mouth.
What's the weirdest place you have done a deed? Principal's office. I was on an in-school suspension and had to spend 2 days in her office to do my school work. I was also like 12 or 13 and was left 100% alone for like 5 hours of the day, so yeah, that happened. On a mountain. Open air. Looking at the view. It was actually awesome to be that free. A nuclear submarine. They don't call them seamen for nothing. The chairlift of a ski resort. I was a snowboarding instructor working 12-hour shifts. What can I say? Duty called. A voting booth. Football stadium after my team won. In a Zoom class. Out of the 26th floor window in Chicago on a busy street. Felt like Spider-Man shooting my web. What's the best joke you know? This is a really dumb one, but I love it. 2 men are sitting drinking at a bar at the top of the Empire State Building, when the first man turns to the other and says, "You know, last week I discovered that if you jump from the top of this building, the winds around the building are so intense that by the time you fall to the 10th floor, they carry you around the building and back into a window." The bartender just shakes his head in disapproval while wiping the bar. The second guy says, "What, are you nuts? There's no way that could happen." "No, it's true," the first man says. "Let me prove it to you." He gets up from the bar, jumps over the balcony, and plummets toward the street below. As he nears the 10th floor, the high winds whip him around the building and back into the 10th floor window, and he takes the elevator back up to the bar. He meets the second man, who looks quite astonished. "You know, I saw that with my own eyes, but that must have been a one-time fluke." "No, I'll prove it again," says the first man as he jumps again. Just as he is hurtling toward the street, the 10th floor wind gently carries him around the building and into the window. Once upstairs he urges his fellow drinker to try it. Well, why not? The second guy says, "It works. I'll try it." He jumps over the balcony, plunges downward, passes the 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th floors, and hits the sidewalk with his plat. Back upstairs the bartender turns to the other drinker and says, "You know Superman, you're a real jerk when you're drunk." What terrifying confession has someone told you while intoxicated? I was at a bar one night in an affluent town. An old guy next to me started talking about his sailing days. He had a 60-foot sailboat and used to sail all over North and South America. His story was from the mid-1980s. He said one night he was anchored near an island off the coast of Venezuela. He was with his girlfriend and they had just fallen asleep when he heard a bump. At first, he didn't think much of it. Barely noticed it, but decided to check it out. He left the sleeping berth and, like in most sailboats, there are a set of steep stairs to climb to get from the cabin to the aft deck. He said he always kept a pistol holstered and hanging from the side of the stair rail. As an afterthought, he grabbed his pistol as he was climbing the stairs. Once he was about halfway out on deck, he saw a man coming over the railing with an automatic weapon. Like an assault rifle. AR-15 or something like that. He said he put 2 rounds into the guy and he fell back over the railing. He ran over and looked down. The guy had fallen into his boat and there was another guy there also armed with an assault rifle. He said he shot that guy a couple of times, pulled up anchor, and got out of there. He said that pirate activity was not unheard of around there and people like this would board your boat, tie you up and take everything. Then they would torch the boat with you on it. The bump he had heard was the other boat coming up beside his boat. He said that was his last visit to South America. People who have insanely easy/lazy job and make good money, what do you do? I was recently hired for $150,000 a year to help a video game studio produce high-quality cinematics. They're not actually making any right now though, so I don't really do much all day. I have to imagine it will change at some point, but it's been 4 months. I'm honestly not sure why they hired me. I work for a university part-time. My job is an e-learning assistant. Basically if someone is too stupid to start a Zoom meeting, they call me and I tell them how to do it. Haven't had a call in 18 months. Still get paid. Slot machines like drink dispenser etc. My uncle sold my 14-year-old 2 drink machines and 1 food machine at a really good location at a local gym. It cost him about $500 to restock every month, sometime a bit more. But after taxes, he makes about $15,000 a year.